Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I wanted to give my opinion on the follow-up post that Daybreak made regarding the two new progression servers coming out this month, Yelinak and Vaniki. Before I get really into it, I want to go over a post I put up on the main page of eqprogression.com. So basically the two questions, I want to know kind of generally what the community is doing, so I know kind of what guides I would like to make, and also I want to know what the community plans on doing for this year. Like, what are they actively doing now, and what are they going to do later this year? So I asked two questions here. If you haven't seen this poll, it's on the main page. The first one I ask is, what TLP server do you mainly play on? And we have 315 responses on that. And are you going to play on the 2022 TLP servers? And we have 290 responses on that poll. So if you look here, 54% of the people responded are on Mischief, 11% are on Eridune, 11% on Thornblade, 10% on Agnar, and then 7% either play on live or other. And I think probably that's skewed because I think generally people who are on live are less likely to use my website and be in the Discord. So that's probably pretty skewed right there. Rizlona's at 5%, and then Mangler, Cornav, and Ragefire are basically all kind of trivial. Not a whole lot of people responded who play on those servers. So let's go over this, and I'll give my thoughts on each one of these. So obviously Mischief at 54%, I think everybody knows that's the most popular server for TLPs right now. It's kind of expected right here. Eridune is still chugging along. There's still a decent amount of people playing over there from what I understand. I think there's still several guilds raiding, and so that got the second most votes. Thornblade is also the newest server, tied with Mischief. So really, if you wanted, you could combine Mischief and Thornblade and get about 65% of the people who are on the newest servers. At least you saw this poll anyway, right? And then Agnar is, this is a server I'm on a lot. It still has 10% of the votes, and I think that's pretty good. My poll, I did not link it in my guild Discord, and I also did not link it in the Agnar Discord. I only linked it in the EQ Progression Discord, so I do not want to skew the results of this, so I can get like a general idea of, you know, who is where. So try to make it least biased as possible. And I want to talk about Agnar a little bit more and what I think they should do with Yelinak, but we will get into that. So the second question I asked, are you going to play on the 2022 TLP servers? So basically Yelinak and Vaniki. 65% of people say they have no plans to leave their server this year at all. That's far and away the highest response. Response number two is, yes, I'll be swapping to Yelinak. 15% of the people said they're going to move to Yelinak, which is the new standard TLP. After that, we have Vaniki. 10% of the people said that they're going to try out Vaniki, but they're not going to swap over there. And to me, that kind of makes sense. I'll try, and then number four is I'll try out Yelinak, which is the standard TLP, but no plans to swap. And then lastly, we have only 10 people voted. 3% of the votes said that they're going to move to Vaniki full time. So what? And again, 290 voters here. So kind of what can we take out of this? Seems like a lot of the player base thinks that just because a new server comes out, a new TLP server, that should be the new most popular server. I don't think it should necessarily be that way. Now, historically, it kind of has been that way so far, but up until last year, we really didn't see any crazy unique rule sets until they came out with Mangler and Thornblade. So that's like really the most unique one they've made so far. And the fact that that's free trade is going to keep a lot of people on that server for a longer period of time, because people like to get that free loot. They like to trade all the loot. And I think it's going to be really hard to pull people away from a server like that, at least this year, for two new servers. One of them, which is just a standard server, which they come out with every year. That doesn't really interest anybody. We've already done that. And Vaniki, the level 40 gate server that's coming out, that is kind of a meme server, to be honest. And I think it's only going to be for really hardcore players. And I feel like the rule set of that is just so far off from what traditional Everquest is. It's just kind of like not interesting to people because it's too far off from the game. It's almost like a private server rule set that just some random guy would make up. Me personally, that's how I feel about it. But I do think it's going to be interesting at first to look at it and see what it's about, but I think it has the potential to just die off really quickly. I think class imbalances are really gonna shine on this type of server, so you might not see very many casters. It might be melee heavy, but this is kind of what I expect. I don't really think that every single year that the newest server has to be the most popular server. And if they keep coming out with different rule sets every year, I think we're going to continue to see that. We're going to see people more spread across different types of rule sets and what kind of people like on a personal level. So let's go over the two servers here. The first one, Yelinak. It's just a regular server. There's really not a whole lot to say here. Here's the unlock schedule. You can pause the video. We're going to check out the posts if you want to see. I'm not going to bore you and read all of this. The main things here to note is TrueBox. It's going to be a standard TrueBox server, so you can only have one character per computer. Up until Omens of War unlocks, which they're going to move to a relaxed TrueBox, where you can have up to 3 clients per computer logged in. That's going to be huge. After that, when the Buried Sea unlocks, TrueBox is going to be removed completely. So I'm fine with that too. I think that makes perfect sense. This here is something I would like to point out. We'll elaborate on this a little bit further. Why is Yelinak using a standard progression server rule set and not any special rule? So they're asking, why is it just another boring server? They said that there is a strong demand for classic progression server, and this is to satisfy that demand. Now, I don't have the data, and it's hard to dispute that, but I think that's probably correct, at least based on the poll on my website. If you actually go back here and you see the number 2 response after people saying they're not going to leave their server is they're going to be swapping to Yelinak. So there is people interested in that type of thing. So, I just have a really small sample size here, but that kind of makes sense. I can kind of see where they're coming from there. A lot of people say, oh, money grabbing, they want money to use potions and stuff. And that's probably true too, but I think both are true to some extent. So that's why they said that. Now, just because they say that and they give a decent reason for it, it still doesn't mean I agree with it. I don't think this is the best course of action. Now, I do agree that they should have a new standard server like this. However, with the exception is it should be locked at a different expansion. So me personally, I would like to see them lock something in like the level 75 to 80 era. Maybe level 70, but I think 75 to 80 would be more interesting. Something after TSS, so you get that extra XP bonus on the new server. Because there's a big chunk in the middle of EverQuest where a lot of people, they'll drop off because it just starts moving towards live and it just becomes too far away from the classic experience for people to still be interested. But I think if they actually lock something within that era, people would be more inclined to play on that server for a long period of time. If you go back and look at my my poll here, again, small sample size, but Agnar it has 30 votes. It's got 10% of the votes, and out of all of these servers, it's the oldest server on here, other than Ragefire and Vox. People really like. There's still like 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly how many guilds that's still right there on a weekly basis, and it's outlasting all of these other servers that just like go up to live and just hit the graveyard. It shows that there is interest in locked servers, and I think if they're going to have another server like this with a standard rule set, why not lock it? Why intentionally kill the server setting it to live when you could have something that lasts longer? Okay, so let's move on to Vaniki here. I'm not going to go over every single change. You can kind of read the article for yourself, or you may already know because this news is a few days old at this point. But I just want to go over things I think that they can improve still from what they announced earlier this week. So the biggest thing that they announced is they're increasing the rate between the time between the level locks, which will give you more time to actually experience the content. Now, I think that's good. I think that's a positive change. It might take people a while. It's hard to say how long it's going to take them to beat this content, if they beat it, all the content, every level lock at all. But I think that they need to actually increase the experience rate. And the reason I think that is because this is going to be, this server is about end-game content. It's about seeing how far you can push the limits. It's not about leveling up. I think it's okay to encourage people to come to the server with fast experience, so they actually like, okay, it's fast experience, let's give it a shot. if you have someone who maybe starts late and then they log on and like the experience is slow and it's got the old TLP experience rate, people just aren't going to be that interested. I like to see them increase the rate of leveling, at least, you know, for the beginning here until you start getting up to live experience. Just so the accessibility is there. Like, this should be a highly accessible server to encourage people to play over here, because otherwise this server has a really high chance of being dead on arrival or very shortly after arrival. Another thing that they announced here is the actual rewards. Now, in my last video, I stated that I think they need to have really good rewards to incentivize people to come over here. We're going to go over some of these real briefly. I don't want to get into every single detail because the video is just going to be really long. But check out the webpage and you can look at all the fine print. But basically, the first reward here is an item that grants low stat food as, it says add a click, but I'm pretty sure they mean as a click. This item has unlimited charges. Now, what is low stat food? Is it low stat for level 40? Is it low stat for level 60? Is it low stat for level 115? Because all of these items you can only claim on one character per account. So low stat item for what? If it's going to be like plus 20 mana, plus 20 health, 5 to all stats, like that means nothing to a level 115. That means a little bit of something to like a level 50, but it's still nothing really that much. I would like to see them add some like actual solid stat food. And also I think it needs to like something that is good for different level ranges, or maybe something that scales. Can they maybe make like an evolving food item? I don't know. But I think that would be good. So this item, I predict that it's probably going to suck, but I could be wrong. The fact that it has unlimited charges is good, and I hope that if it does summon food, that it summons a whole bunch at once. Like, I don't want to sit there and summon 1 or 5 or even 1 stack at a time. I want to be able to summon like 100 at a time, and I want it to be a miraculous meal so it lasts a long time, because honestly, you can make Misty Thicket picnics and those will last you forever, and there's a little bit of stats on them, and they're just so easy to make, and there's such huge abundance that I'm not going to have any motivation to come over here and try this server out if this item sucks. So we'll see what happens, but I hope they make it good. And there's a low stat drink over here too for level 65, and I think that needs to be the same thing. So we'll see what happens. Level 50, we got the Teleport Western Wastes. If you beat Yelinak and Scars of Velius, I mean, a teleport item is okay. It depends on what the cooldown is, and also later in the game. This is probably just going to be an item that's sitting in your bank after not very long. So I would like to see them. I realize they have cosmetic rewards down here, but I would like to see a cosmetic rewards in addition to some of this stuff, or you know, more rewards. To me, a teleport item, the Western Waste, again, it's not enough to get me to come over to this server and try it out. Now, another thing I noticed is a lot of these mobs that they have you kill is not the last boss of the level lock. So level 55, you know, Tunat Muram would be the final boss of this server for level 55. You know, in theory, you can access Gates of Discord. You're not gonna. I would be amazed that people killed Tunat Muram at level 55 without any AA. You're gonna have like just a very minimal AA at that point. I mean, that guy hits for 6,000 plus. But so it's almost like they're not expecting people to clear stuff at 10 levels below it, even because they're just asking you to kill the Crag Beast Queen. They're not asking you to kill anything in TAC V. So I don't know. It's kind of like a mixed message they're sending here to me. But anyways, what you get out of this is raid currency, and you choose a batch of currency from all currencies in the game at the time of the server's launch. So at the time of Vaniki's launch in this case. The amount is 2.5% the price of the breastplate item. So I think the quantity is pretty decent. 2.5 items of the most expensive item is pretty solid. But the problem with this is, I'm assuming what this means is you can buy raid currency and use it on your live character. So you can maybe use it at Terror of Luckland and get 2.5 high value items for your character on live. If a lot of TLP players, they may not have characters on live. So if you don't have one, this is basically worthless to you. So this is kind of an iffy reward to me. It doesn't feel like it's enough, again, to motivate me to come over there. Me personally, I would like some free loot on, say, like Verona Bay, but you know, I don't know if this is for everybody. Again, this is kind of a questionable reward here. So for level 60, killing the king or the queen, it'll give you a Vaniki illusion. I don't want to be a rat personally. For people who like and collect illusions, maybe you like this, but again, for me, I don't care. I'm never going to use a rat illusion personally. Low stat drink, we went over that. Teleport to Fortress Mech. I just talked about the teleport things too. Like, this will be good for a little bit. You're not really going to be able to get use out of it on a live character or any character that's not around this era, because you're just not going to go to Fortress Mech that much. Now that zone is kind of out of the way, so if you need to go there, it's good for that. But the odds of you needing to go there over a long period of time, I just think this is probably just going to be an item that's mostly sitting in your bank. Or just taking up a bag slot in general. Seeds of Destruction, which is way later. Probably at this point, I would assume a lot of people are going to drop off if they don't increase these rewards in some way. So you get more raid currency. House of Thule, you get an illusion. Gigan, I think that's like those big giant golem guys in the underfoot, if I remember correctly. So again, I'm not going to use a Gigan illusion. I think they're just kind of goofy looking and they're too big and bulky. Removable Purity Augment. Purity Augments are kind of a dime a dozen. This is, again, not enough to motivate me. It's almost like they're afraid to give out like good rewards for this server, because then they'll have people complaining, oh, these people got these good rewards, no, I don't have the opportunity to get it later, blah, blah, blah. But that's part of the game. I think having unique stuff that's no longer obtainable, or maybe they can give it away in a different manner in a different TLP server later. Like, you know, next year we'll give these out again. If you can complete the task we present to you in a period of time. Maybe every year they do something like that. But I just think these are really weak items in general. Another teleport, more raid currency, another illusion. This item blows my mind. Maybe I'm missing something here. An item that grants a shadow step at a click. This item has unlimited charges. So there's two types of shadow steps that I think of. One of them is like your classic shadow step where you're in a certain position and you just teleport random positions around that position. If it's that, I don't know why the heck you would be spamming an item that has that. PvP might be useful, but most servers aren't PvP servers, so I don't really get it. The other type of shadow step is the one that shoots you forward, like the monk AA that you get later in the game. I can't remember the name of it, but if it's something like that, it might be moderately useful sometimes to some classes, but I don't really understand this reward. Maybe I'm missing something. Terror of Luckland, you get another teleport to Maiden's Eye in the Terror of Luckland version of the zone. By the time this server is at this expansion, I mean, it's going to be 2 or 3 years from now. Are you going to use this item 2 or 3 years from now on any character other than this one? Probably not, and probably not very, and if you do, it's probably not going to be very often. So I do question these teleport decisions here. Even this Fortress Mech one, it's going to be a little while till you're even able to get that thing. Let's see, level 70. Yeah, so you got 12 weeks, you know, it might be half a year or a little bit, almost a year for that one. But this one is, the Terror of Luckland one is like really far away. So you do get some weapon ornaments. If you reach level 60, you'll get 4 of them. And you'll get an additional weapon ornament for each level cap after that. I think weapon ornaments is a good idea, but they can do a lot better than this. These don't really match any of the class themes. Like it'll match Druid a little bit, you can argue Shaman a little bit, and Ranger a little bit, but all 3 of those classes already have better weapon ornaments. You can get stuff from guide events, you can get stuff from the store, you can get trade skill stuff later in the game once you can do trade skill weapon ornaments. There's the epic ornaments you can get, and there's a ton of weapon ornaments that look better than these. These are like bare bones Legacy of Yekisha looking weapons. Looks like something like an orc trash mob would drop when you're level 5. They're fancy if you're level 5, but not if you're max level. I think they can do better than this. These are not something I personally care for at all. I think they're hideous. But yeah, there's like some other question here available, like they're going to have out of combat experience. You're not going to you're not going to lose a level if you die. You don't have any experience. AAs are not going to change any AA type stuff, but so that's going to make it even more difficult. So say for example, you're level 60 and you're trying to kill a level 70 raid, like you're trying to do Prophecy of Ro raids at level 60 and you only have AAs up to Shadow of Luckland. You don't have Planes of Power AA. You don't have Gates of Discord AA, and you don't have Omens of War AA. It's going to be really difficult to do that. It's probably going to be a Zerg Fest. It's going to be a heavy melee server most likely. I think casters are probably going to run out of mana here a lot. And even with the resist changes, just the baseline resist, if you're like okay level for the raid, like say for example in Eldons, a lot of those trash mobs have really high resist, even if you're level 65. So I don't know how they're going to calculate that out. But it seems like there's going to be a lot of roadblocks here for casters. And most likely will be, there's going to be probably a lot of channers still, because you're going to be able to charm stuff. And there's going to be probably a lot of melee and things like that. So we'll see what happens. I just wanted to sit here and give my input on some of the stuff I think they can still improve. And I think they have time to do it as well. So we'll see what happens. And anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.